Johnson County. Joco Community Radio.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no-obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday morning. It is Adam Smith coming to you from the Dominican Republic. I'm joined with Martin, and we're going to be talking about health and fitness, fat loss, and everything about becoming your best self this morning. So I hope you're starting off Monday right and ready to get stuck into it. This morning, I want to talk to you about not just nutrition, not just the gym, but everything in combination. So we want to make sure that we're not only starting off the week right when it comes to kicking some ass and taking some names, but how to kind of put it all together. Because often what I find with not just my clients, but even myself sometimes, that in one area of life we can kind of nail it when it comes to maybe eating right or training well, or maybe we get our sleep nailed, but then everything else falls apart. So this is another reason I asked Martin to join us this morning. He joined me last week and had a lot to say on a couple of these sort of starting off right and then maybe falling off track in certain areas. So Martin, as we dive into it, the first question I have for you is, what is your number one piece of advice when it comes to anyone who, let's say, is starting off from square one and has no idea where to start when it comes to nutrition and feels super overwhelmed with everything that's out there on social media? What is the first thing you would say to, let's say, Joe, who is trying to lose 50 pounds? What would you tell him to do starting today? Because it's Monday, right?
Hello, Joe. Happy Monday. Well, yeah, I'm a bit of an expert now at falling off and then coming back, obviously. But well, the first thing I would say is avoid the fad diet. That's the one. You got the lettuce diet, the water diet, the California zero anything diet. Avoid it. You know, our bodies are machines, and we are designed to take in fat, protein, and carbohydrates. And when you take any of those factors down to zero, you're gonna damage your health, and your body's not going to run in the most efficient way that it can. So don't take any of those factors down to zero. That's the first thing. You know, keeping a good, healthy, balanced diet is going to be your overall goal. And the number one word that I would use is macros, and this is macronutrients. We have micronutrients, which are all your multivitamins and all the little things that food's made up of, and we have the macronutrients, which is protein, fats, and carbohydrates. And if you don't know what that is, just take that word, put it into Google, and start your nutrition adventure and journey right there. There's a whole world and universe to explore, and that magical word will transform your life, your energy levels, your physique. And, you know, it can get complicated, but it doesn't need to. If you just go out, if you don't know what it means, if you just go out there and you learn what is a protein and what food sources does that contain, what is fats and what food sources does that contain, and what are carbohydrates, use that as a starting point. And then from there, obviously having a coach is the best thing that you can do. And then they will give you the specifics of what to eat, where to eat. And that will make your life so easy. So that's my advice. Go and research what macros are, find out what they are. And then if you can have someone guide you and tell you how much of which macro to eat, you don't need too much thinking behind it. And you will genuinely transform not only your figure, but your mindset, your health levels, your energy, your happiness, and your life.
Yeah, this is the biggest thing that I see is when people decide, like on Sunday night, they've had a really shitty weekend and they've been overeaten and over drinking and all this kind of stuff, and they start to feel that instant regret. They decide that, okay, tomorrow morning, it's Monday, so I'm going to lose these 20 pounds. All of a sudden, they feel super motivated, and they decide to cut out carbohydrates, right? So this is the first thing they do. So they immediately think they're going to cut out the bread, the pasta, the potatoes, all this kind of stuff. They think that that's the stuff that's going to automatically help them drop these 20 pounds super quickly. The catch to this is they'll cut it out and they're going to see these instant results, right? So they're going to see those like 5 pounds come off pretty quickly, or those 3 pounds. So they get this instant gratification of seeing the scale move quickly, and then nothing happens after a couple of weeks. And they get frustrated, and then they fall back into those old habits, and then they're eating the junk food again, or whatever the case is. So there's no consistency, and they're in this constant cycle of cutting out carbs, gaining it back, cutting out carbs, gaining it back. So with whatever you're trying to do, whether you're trying to lose the 20 pounds or the 100 pounds, it's about making sure that you can stick to it, right? So you say this all the time, and you used to say it all the time, is whatever you're going to do, you just have to be able to stick to it, right? The plan has to be something you can be consistent with, whether it's going to be keto or whether it's going to be macros or whether it's going to be the lemon detox diet, whatever it is, it has to be you, and it has to be something that's going to give you the results, right? But the other problem is the only thing that's ever given you, for example, the best results, or me that's given me the best results, is one, it is being the macronutrient plan, and it's been following the calorie deficit diet, and then making sure that we understand calories in, calories out, following the macronutrition plan, and then doing the calorie deficit to a certain point, and then understanding the reverse diet as well. So this is the other part of the thing I wanted to talk to about you with this morning was a lot of people.
Can I just interject there before you change the topic? Just a couple of things on that is the only plan that is ever going to work for you is the one that you can stick to. It doesn't matter how good a plan is. It might be the perfect plan in the world, but if you can't follow it consistently, how are you ever going to know that it's going to work? The only one that works is the one that you can stick to. And maybe keto, where you do cut out carbs completely, is the one that works for you. And that's a journey that you're going to have to discover yourself. But the important thing is all of these fad diets, they all work the same way. And all they do is put you into a calorie deficit. That's the only aim of it. And it is macros. And so they're restricting a certain macronutrient group, like the keto diet is restricting carbohydrates to such a level that it puts you in a calorie deficit, which allows you then to, it all works the same way. It's just a different way of doing it. But if you understand macros and calories, then you will understand all these fad diets, that they all work in the same way. It's just a different way of doing it. But the main key is the only plan that works is one you can stick to, and then it has to be sustainable. And then the other one is with the extreme ones, what do you want to lose? You're going to lose 20 pounds in a week. How much of that is body fat? 3 pounds, 2 pounds? What's the point? You're going to lose all this water. And then the moment that you go off track, you just balloon back up again. So we need a sustainable diet that you can stick to, and one that's actually going to allow you to lose body fat and not just water that you're instantly going to put back on again. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head, right? And this is the fundamentals that a lot of people don't seem to want to come to terms with, right? It's the foundations that you have to do, right? Like the foundations that you have to come to the conclusions with. It's the same, and this is what I was leading into, is you're not going to have the body of your dreams by doing these fad diets, right? So a lot of people think that by just losing the 20 pounds or by just losing the 50 pounds, under those 50 pounds, they're going to look like they've always wanted to look, or they're going to have their body of their dreams. That's not how it works. You're not just going to suddenly lose the 50 pounds and then look aesthetically like you've always imagined you're going to look. You're just going to lose the 50 pounds, and then you're going to have a frame to then have to build with muscle, right? So in the DMs or in my Facebook group that I'm in on live with as well at the moment, what I hear all the time is, I want to lose weight and tone up, or I want to lose weight and build muscle at the same time.
Two separate goals.
Yeah, two separate goals, right? You can't do the same thing at the same time. So I'm sorry to break it to you ladies that are listening, but you have to lose the body fat first. You can hold on to the muscle mass that you have, or you can maybe hold on to the strength that you have, but you have to lose that fat first. And then you have to focus on building the muscle, right? So this is the other like mind shift that you have to have when you're in or working with a proper coach, is you got to get rid of that body fat first, and then you have to go into a reverse diet. So a reverse diet, or a calorie surplus, which means you're increasing your calories slowly, and then you're building that strength back up and building that muscle mass back up. So it's kind of called the rocking chair effect, right? You're going up a little bit higher in those calories and focusing on increasing your strength in the gym, focusing on changing your training a little bit, focusing on getting more sleep, maybe focusing on decreasing your training in the gym so your muscle has more time to recover, more time to grow. And this way you're focusing on building more muscle mass without putting on body fat. That way you can change your like frame and change your aesthetics. And then you just do this in a what would you call it, Martin? Like a cycle. So like through your course of your life, right? So you go calorie deficit, calorie surplus, calorie deficit, calorie surplus to get the aesthetics that you want. But unfortunately, most people stay stuck in the phase of losing the same 20 pounds of fat and gaining the same 20 pounds of fat year in and year out for their entire life, right? Martin, what's your takeaway with that?
Well, they do that because they don't go into the muscle building phase. And if you're speaking specifically about females, obviously this age-old fear of not wanting to get too bulky, not wanting to create muscle mass. And if you look at a bikini model, for example, who looks very feminine, very beautiful, something that a lot of women would aspire to be. We're not talking about the female bodybuilder on a stage who may have some masculine features, which some females may not aspire to. The very female, feminine-looking bikini model, the reason why she looks like that is because she has built muscle mass, and then she's allowed a layer of fat to go on top of it, which gives the curvy feminine appearance. And what most people do, not just females, but males as well, they get stuck in the first phase of the calorie deficit, which they never truly complete. And if you can complete the first phase of the calorie deficit, you then move into this reverse diet. And the reason why we say reverse diet and not immediate bulk is because if you go into a heavy calorie deficit where you're restricting calories, let's say you're in a calorie deficit of 500 calories, and then you immediately go into a huge calorie surplus, your body will just put on body fat immediately. The reverse diet that Adam's talking about is going from a calorie deficit and slowly increasing calories over time. Going from a calorie deficit of 500 to a calorie deficit of 400, 300, 200, 100, and then slowly increasing the calorie surplus. Gives your body time to adjust the metabolism, which allows you to create muscle without increasing body fat. And then, so you go through this phase, calorie deficit, reverse diet to surplus, calorie deficit, reverse diet surplus. You only need to do, if you're a normal average human being whose aim is just to look athletic, good, fit and healthy, where people say, oh wow, you go to the gym, you work out. You only need to do that cycle, calorie deficit, reverse diet, calorie deficit, probably once, maybe twice successfully, and then you could just maintain and you would look fit, strong and athletic. But the majority of people never get past that first phase of just calorie deficit, and they don't realize how important the muscle building phase and then cutting down again to actually look the way that most people want to look is.
Yeah, 100%. So speaking of this essential plan, I want to talk to you about going into the gym with or without a plan. If you're a beginner, often, we've spent a lot of time in gyms and we see a lot of people going in and out of the gym. What is, let's say, your top 5 do's and don'ts if you're a beginner going into the gym? What would you say are your top 5 do's and don'ts?
If you're a very, very beginner, genuinely, don't go too hard. If you've got a personal trainer and he's stood next to you, pushing the hell out of you, you probably need a new personal trainer. It's such a big mistake that people make going into the gym the first time and going so hard. Even if you've been out of the gym for a period of time, just go gently. This is not a sprint. We're talking about a lifestyle that if you love it and you enjoy it and you truly go into it, it's going to be for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, who knows? Yep. And if it is, then why do you need to go 1,000,000% on the first day, the first week? You will live to regret it. You will be in genuine pain. You might injure yourself, but the pain itself will be enough to deter you from coming back. Just show up. Just do the minimum weight. At the very beginning, just focus on the technique. We really need to learn the technique that will then allow us to be able to push heavier weight later on. And if you have a good trainer, they should only be focusing on teaching you the technique. Nothing to do with working hard, pushing heavy weight. A beginner comes in, the main aim is consistency, frequency, showing up, learning technique. If you can just focus on that, over time, the amount you do, the weight you lift, the effort you put in, will all increase at its own pace. And as we're in this as a marathon, that will take care of itself. Just don't go too crazy, too hard, or you just won't come back.
Yeah, I mean, this ties into one of my do's and don'ts is make sure you have a plan, right? So the thing that I see time and time again is people not having any kind of direction when they first start in the gym. So they just sort of go in there and just mess around, right? Like they just play around with the machines or have no sort of direction. And the simple things is you can jump on Google or YouTube and just find simple push, pull, and legs or something where you can have a plan to follow. And nowadays there's so much information out there, whether you use an online trainer or you use a coach that's in the gym, but having a plan ties into having a goal, right? So if you have something that you're aiming for, like either an aesthetic that you want to aim for, like if you want to lose those 20 pounds or look a certain way or be a certain level of fitness, is you have to have something you're working towards. So then you can reverse engineer it. So like, okay, this is what I have to do. I have to train at least 3 times a week. I have to spend at least 45 minutes a session in the gym, and I have to train push, pull, and legs. You have to have some kind of plan. Otherwise, if you're going into the gym, you're just going to mess around for 45 minutes and then leave and have no sort of direction. Yeah.
Well, I think a good progression, which I really like, is if you're a complete beginner, if you go to the gym 3 times a week and do a full body workout, you can, because the weights that you use are not heavy enough to stress the muscles that you need more than 2-day rest. So the weights are light enough that you can work all the muscle groups 3 times a week. And as you advance and you get the weights become heavier, now the muscle groups will need more rest. And then you could shift to something like upper day, lower day, day off, upper day, lower day, day off. And now the muscle groups only get worked twice a week. And then if you look at a professional bodybuilder who is using really, really heavy weights, they will do something like chest, back, shoulders, arms, legs, and they will work the muscle group once every 10 days because the amount of stress they put it under, then it needs 7 to 10 days rest. So the complete beginner, you can do a full body workout 3 times a week because it doesn't need as much rest. And then as you advance, you can do them twice a week and progress like this.
Yeah, you're 100% right. All right, so speaking about do's and don'ts, so a big part of it is, like Martin said, form, making sure you warm up properly. You want to rest a lot or as much as you can. So the rest aspect falls under the fact that you want to sleep. You want to make sure you have enough time off in between your gym sessions. Is really important and an underlooked part of your journey when it comes to growing muscle, right? So that toned look that a lot of women are looking for comes from growing the muscle mass, right? So the muscle, or that toned look that women want, is the muscle mass, right? So we're not trying to turn you into Arnold Schwarzenegger. We've been trying to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger since we started the gym, right? It's not going to happen.
Really difficult.
It's not going to happen overnight. So losing that body fat and building muscle mass is the thing that you want. So resting makes that happen. When you're in the gym, that gym session is tearing down the muscle mass, right? So it's tearing those muscle fibers. Those muscles will heal from the nutrition or the food that you eat and the rest that you get. So now the don'ts, right? So when you're in the session, you don't want to treat it like a social club. So you want to get in and get out, especially for those people that are really, really busy, have busy schedules. Maybe you got a family at home. If you're in there in the morning, get in there, make the session intense. This is the stuff that's going to change your body, right? Ego lifting is also something you want to avoid. So ego lifting is when you are lifting the weight that is way too heavy. So you lose your form, you're not lifting correctly, you're going to injure yourself. You're essentially not getting the reps that count. If you start to lift too heavy, then what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to complete the reps. And there's so many studies behind the fact that the weight that you're moving, the form is going to be more important, especially at the beginning, because your muscles have to understand the way that you're moving through space, and then the stretch of the muscle and that mind to muscle connection is going to be really important later down the track when you're further experienced to understand muscle recruitment. All right. The other thing that's really important is don't expect instant results. This is something that you have to understand. You might have just started in the gym, or you might have just started on your journey. It's taken maybe 20 years to gain these 50 pounds, right? You're not going to lose it in 2 weeks. And if you do lose it in 2 weeks, you're going to gain it back in about a week. Yeah. So just be aware of this. The longer you're on this health journey, the more that you understand it is about the journey. It is not about the finish line. The number on the scale is not going to dictate your happiness. As corny as it sounds, it's about the person you become along the way. The discipline that you learn, the stuff that you have to overcome, the obstacles you have to overcome, that is about who you become along the way. That's more important, all right? The other thing that is really important, and I talk to my ladies about this all the time that are in my program, it doesn't matter how much you sweat. Sweat does not dictate how much fat you're burning, right? Sweat is just your body cooling itself down. So just be aware of that. Don't chase the sweat. It's not a good strategy. All right. Martin, anything on that?
You tell me if this is a do or don't. My 90s dance moves in the gym when we're working out.
I can't concentrate when you start breaking up.
No, I'm one of the biggest ones. So, as Adam said, the only reason you go into the gym is to break down the muscle fiber. That's it. The muscle fibers are all contracted together, and you're literally ripping them apart like this, and you're creating space between them. And then when you go away, you eat the protein, and it builds the block together, and that's how it grows. You rip them, you build them. You rip them, you build them. You rip them, you build them, and then it grows over time, and you create big muscles. So that's such a small part of it. So what you actually do in the gym over the course of 20 years is not as important as people think. You know, the technique's important, the exercise selection, get a good coach, get a good plan, all that stuff. But if we go in and say, today we're working chest, shoulders, and triceps, you know, we're just going in to break down those muscle groups. So we stress the muscle group, we rip the muscle fibers, and that's the aim of that. So that's what they say, that the abs are made in the kitchen. It's the 70% of this fitness and of the results is the nutrition. And then the other bit is the rest that you get. So it all ties in, but the main thing is the nutrition. So the big do is preparation. You know, I've come to work today and I brought a cooler bag like this, and it's got in it my breakfast, my lunch, which I've weighed out and ready prepared. It's all cooked and weighed and tracked the calories. I brought my afternoon snack. I've got the protein shake. I've got vitamins and supplements that I take. You know, that takes me a little while. I've had to cook it, prepare it. In the morning, I've had to get it all ready. And the day I don't do that, what options have I got? I'm going to order food. I'm going to go to a restaurant. I might be rushing around outside. There might be nothing nearby. I'm going to stop in McDonald's. I'm hungry. Like, everything goes to crap. And, you know, that proper planning prevents poor performance. And the preparation of this lifestyle is everything. If you really want the true results, you're going to have to take some time. And it ain't much when you get used to it. You know, I take 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon, and I cook my full week's worth of food, and I put it in containers all tracked out, and I put it in the freezer, in the fridge. And then every day, my life's easy. I just pull out what I'm going to eat for that day. But I needed to prepare it. And if you fail to prepare to fail in this fitness lifestyle. Because when you ain't prepared for the day and you're rushing around in work, what are you going to do? You're going to eat something that you shouldn't.
Yeah, this is the other thing that I want to quickly touch on before we have to go for a bit of a break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about what actually gets results. And this is the mind sort of shift that I want a lot of ladies that are listening either on radio or in my Facebook group to have, is that you need to step away from the idea that you have to train a certain way if you're female or male, right? If you want to look a certain way, you have to start to lift weights. You have to start to do resistance training. The classes that you're doing are great if you want to do a couple of spin cycles, or if you want to do a couple of Orange Theories just for like your cardio fitness. But if you really, really want to look a certain way, like if you want to look like a fitness model, if you want to look great in a bikini come summer, especially if you're in the US, summer's just around the corner. If you want to look great in a pair of jeans, all that kind of stuff, building muscle mass is the most important thing. If you are female over the age of 30, it is going to be harder for you to build muscle mass, no matter what. Males and females, your hormones will drop off after the age of 30, and it's just going to become harder and harder as you start to get older to build muscle mass. Muscle mass on your frame is the key indicator to how much longer you're going to live and how much value of life you're going to have as you get older. As you start to get into your 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, the quality of life is directly dictated by how much muscle mass compared to how much body fat percentage you have on your frame. So for example, like if you get into your 60s and you have a fall, you break a hip, you break a femur, something like that, the more muscle mass you have, the quicker you're going to heal, right? So let that sink in for a second. If you have thicker thighs because you have more muscle mass, not because you have more body fat, you're going to heal quicker, right? So you're going to be able to walk around quickly. You're not going to be able to, you won't have to depend on your husband or your kids if you have stronger thighs. If you have more muscle mass, you're going to be living a longer and healthier life. So make sure that you start to hit the gym to build thicker thighs. So that old saying of thicker thighs save lives, this is a legitimate saying.
You just made that up, Adam.
All right, so we're going to break in a couple of seconds. When we come back, we're going to be talking about what actually gets results, so no more wasting time. We're going to be talking about stuff like progressive overload, strength training, tracking your intake, and daily motivation. All right.
It is not a quiet island. Chickens, ambulances, and music.
See you guys in a sec.
Attention all business owners and creative minds. Do you need a unique and personalized touch for your products? Look no further than Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs. We offer custom laser engraving services for a variety of products, including promotional items and corporate or personal gifts. With state-of-the-art equipment and a team of skilled designers, we can engrave intricate designs on virtually any material. Whether it's a special message, a company logo, or a custom design, Romika Laser Engraving will help you make your mark. And the best part, our prices are affordable and our turnaround time is quick.
I couldn't be happier with the work Romika Laser Engraving did for me. The engraving on my product was precise and exactly what I wanted.
So don't wait any longer to add a personal touch to your products. Call Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs today at 817-400-4040 or visit our website at romikadesigns.com. We look forward to helping you make your mark.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
All right, folks, good morning. Welcome back from the commercial break. My name is Adam. I'm joined here with Martin, I believe. If he's going to be jumping in for the second segment or not, I'm not too sure. But we're going to be talking about some interesting stuff when it comes to what actually gets you results with the gym when it comes to nutrition, training, and everything in between. One of the really cool things that I've always loved about the gym is that the same amount of effort you put in is the exact results that you're going to get, right? You can't go in there and essentially just mess around and expect to get awesome results back. So one of the things that I've always found interesting is that you see people time and time again, especially if you like stay for a year or two in the same gym, you see the same kind of person that goes in there and their body just doesn't change, right? Like, it's just the same person doing the same thing day in and day out. I know this drives Martin absolutely crazy because he sees the same person in there every single day, and he's had a conversation with this person who's going to remain nameless and his body hasn't changed for 10 years, right? So I want to talk to you about stuff like progressive overload, strength training versus endless cardio, tracking your intake, that kind of stuff. But can you talk to me about stuff like progressive overload? What is progressive overload, Martin?
Well, just on that, yeah. I mean, and not just one person. There's multiple people here. I've been friends with them in the gym for 10 years, and they just stayed exactly the same. And, through my journey of, I've got really, really big, gone really, really low body fat, big, and it's just about change. And if your body isn't changing, something is going wrong. And, I speak to them and say, what's your goal? What are you aiming for? And he said, no, I'm happy where I am. I'm just staying the same. I say, okay, if it is, that's what it is, whatever. But if they do say that they have some kind of goal, as in I would like to get bigger or I want to lose body fat, and then I said, okay, how's your diet? And the answer is always the same. And they say, yeah, my diet is good. It's good. It's okay. How many calories are you eating? Calories. How many grams of protein? What grams of protein? I say, are you tracking any of that? No. So how do you know that your diet's good? Well, I don't. Well, you don't. And that's why, you can say the words that have a good diet, but in the same breath, you're also saying you're not reaching your goals. You would like to lose more body fat. And so you can't say that you have a good diet if you're not reaching the goal. And, I've been through this cycle so many times myself where I know this stuff. I know how to do it, so I don't need to do it. And I've been so many times where, you fall off and you put on body fat and I go out of shape and I say, all right, I'm going to go back to getting absolutely shredded again. But I've done it so many times where I've weighed out and tracked all my food. I don't need to weigh out and track all my food because I know exactly what to eat. So I just eat what I know what to eat and I don't get any results. Mm-hmm. And then magically I bring out a food scale and I track the calories and the grams and then immediately I get into amazing shape. And it's like there's a magical connection between me guessing what I'm eating and tracking it precisely and the results that it brings me. And this comes back to the precise nutrition and I'm provoking real, actual change and the connection between guessing and tracking precisely what goes in here. That's the first thing.
So when we're talking about dialing it in and tracking everything, is this as important when it comes to the gym, as in lifting weights, you feel?
It's more important. And I know why, because I just did it in December. So December 2nd, I got a photo, full 6-pack, ready for the stage, amazing. And I said, okay, I'm going to go December, Christmas, family events. I'm just going to go and eat to my heart's content. I'm going to take December off. And I went and I had pizza and burgers and family events and turkey and potatoes. I just said, I don't care. Eat, drink, and be merry. And so then I have a photo of myself just at the beginning of January, and I look like I don't even go to the gym. I went from stage ready to putting on a lot of body fat. My training stayed the same. I trained the same. The training was the same. And the only thing that changed was my diet. And I went from stage ready to looking like I didn't even go to the gym. And the only thing that changed was my diet. And then I continued training the same, locked my diet in, and I'm back at bodybuilding stage ready 6 weeks later. So it's more important than the training, 100%.
Yeah, so this is where a lot of people get frustrated, right? Is because, again, with the conversations I have with the ladies in my Facebook group or the conversations I have with the ladies in the DMs from my Instagram page, every single time I ask them, what are you doing currently to work towards the goal that you have, right? Again, whether it's trying to lose weight and tone up or lose those 20 pounds, every single time I get back the response of, I'm going to the gym 6 times a week, or I'm running 5 times a week, or I'm getting my 10,000 steps in every single day. I hardly ever get a response of, I'm tracking my food, or I'm doing my macros, or I'm counting my calories, anything like that. Sometimes I'll get, I'm focusing on my protein, or I'm trying to get some more water in, or something a vague food response.
Okay, I'll give you an even better one, Adam. So obviously, because I am in good shape and everybody in this area knows I go to the gym and everything, so a lot of people come to me and say to me, hey, I'm going to start losing body fat. And they always have the same opener. and they say, I'm gonna start going to the gym, or I'm gonna go start running. And I say to them, you don't need to. Forget about the gym, forget about running. If your only goal is fat loss, only do the diet. You don't even need to do exercise.
Yeah.
And if you do exercise and you don't do the diet, you won't get any results anyway. So forget all of that. Just lock in the diet first. And that's all you need to do fat loss. And if you can get that, then yes, add in exercise and all that. And okay, if you're going to do it anyway. There's so many other benefits apart from fat loss, and it would help, of course. There's zero negatives to it. But if your only goal is fat loss and you're going to take up running and you're not going to do anything about your diet, you're not going to get any results.
Yeah, and this is the funny thing, right? Even when people are injured, right, what they tend to do is when they get injured, let's say they like break an ankle or something, right? They tend to blame their weight gain on the broken ankle because they can't go to the gym. They don't tend to blame the weight gain on the fact that whilst they have the broken ankle, they sit in front of the TV and then pound potato chips and eat Kit Kats all day watching TV. Like they don't seem to put those two things together. That no, it's got nothing to do with the broken ankles, but the fact that you didn't like keep your diet in check, right? You tended to eat all that junk food.
Well, you've just opened the door to a real deep subject here, which is why do we eat and why do we overeat? And it's, you know, especially if you've after a traumatic event, if you're talking about a broken ankle, a breakup, you know, maybe you're grieving something, you've lost your job, whatever the traumatic event is in your life, one of the reasons why we overeat, it's all connected to our emotions, right? I know one of my coping mechanisms is definitely eating pizza and Cheetos and whatever it might be. It absolutely makes me feel better.
Yeah.
And whatever your food of choice is, you know, my fiance, give her an ice cream when she's feeling down and see if it doesn't brighten up her day. It absolutely does.
Yeah.
This is a lot of humans. So when the athlete whose love and passion is running breaks her ankle and now they're on the couch depressed, it's more so the emotional of why they eat than anything else. And obviously that's you could have a whole hour on that subject for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And the funny thing is, right, when we're talking about the eating aspect of things, and again, when I'm working with my clients, I don't just tell them to eat chicken breast and do some squats, right? We have to figure out what's going on between their ears and in here when we're talking about their nutrition side of things, because all of the information is out there when we're talking about losing weight, toning up, getting fit, getting healthy. The thing you have to ask yourself is what has been stopping you from getting yourself to this goal? Because you know what to do. You know that, okay, you eat less food, move more, like eat the healthier food. But why do you keep eating the ice cream? Or why do you keep eating the pizza? Or why do you keep eating the Cheetos? Like, what is that thing that's got its hook in you that keeps pulling you towards that stuff? Why do you feel that you need to come home from work and drink the bottle of wine? Like, what is that thing that makes you do that, right? And if you don't fix that thing, you're going to be stuck in that cycle of that instant gratification, right? Mm-hmm. So no matter how many times you lose those 20 pounds or those 50 pounds, if you don't fix that thing, what will happen is you're going to stay stuck in that cycle of instant gratification. So when you have a stressful day, or when you have a hard conversation with your partner, or if you have a shitty day at work, or if you have a stressful month, you're going to keep going back to that same thing. If you don't fix it, no matter what, no matter how many times you get that six pack, or no matter how many times you lose those 20 pounds, it's always going to be there. It's always going to be that crux that you lean on no matter what, right?
Yeah, it's a coping mechanism, and it's absolutely one of mine. And you know, it's the overeating specifically is just a symptom of your stress management or lack of it. And you know, everybody has a different one. You know, some people might go and buy loads of shoes on Amazon. Some people run to the casino and go gambling. Some people go and get 2 bottles of wine. And some people go and eat loads of food. And I know I have many different ones. I've had many different ones. And the food is a fantastic one. If I'm going through a stressful situation and I can go and eat a lot of food, it absolutely alleviates it in the moment. But it's the problem with any instant gratification is that the alleviation in the moment, it only aggravates it in the future. That obviously that feeling is then worsened down the line. That when you come to and then you say, "Oh, I just did that, and I've now made my situation worse," etc. But that's obviously that goes deeper into identifying the root causes of where is this coming from and why am I doing it. And then this is one of the most interesting things about the fitness journey is like we talk about that you go into this journey. When I came in, I was 235 pounds. I was really high body fat. I had really slim shoulders and a huge belly, just like completely out of shape and unhappy. I've got photos where I was literally grey with a downward smile. I mean, I was in bad physical, spiritual, mental, and emotional standing. And I came into this saying, "Oh, I would like to get a six-pack." And miraculously what happened is, the repairing of my internal spiritual trauma. Like you go on this amazing journey where you come in thinking, okay, I'm going to go on this physical journey. But when you get deep into it and you have to address issues such as, why does my stress management include overeating? And it's connected to, for example, a childhood trauma. And you go on this miraculous journey of self-discovery and healing that actually changes your whole life and who you are and this internal healing. And it's much, much deeper and miraculous than just a physical change, right?
Yeah. One of my clients, and she won't mind me sharing this because I have spoken to her a lot about it. Her name is Chrissy. So she worked with me for a long time. She went from 297, almost 300 pounds, down to 186, right? So she lost a hell of a lot of weight, and then she got to a sticking. Yeah. She did awesome. Now she's full on to like powerlifting and like bodybuilding and stuff, and she loves it. But she got to a sticking point, right, where she couldn't break through this food hurdle of like she was going through stressful stuff with her family, and she would find that she was like breaking her diet consistently. For some reason, she was always breaking it with pastries. Like she couldn't figure out why. So we had this super long conversation about why it was specifically croissants and donuts, right? So we sat down over Zoom and had this conversation. And I said to her, like, often what happens is when we go through childhood trauma or trauma when we're teenagers, that trauma comes out as a reaction when we're an adult, right? So like our childhood inner self doesn't know how to deal with that stuff. So it gets buried and then the reaction comes out as we're an adult. When we go through a stressful day, stressful month, have anxiety, that kind of stuff, that reaction comes up, right? So I asked her to reflect on like, your childhood, what was what was your coping mechanism? Like, how did you cope with stuff at home? She goes, well, what used to happen is when home life used to get chaotic, when mom and dad used to fight or stuff used to happen at home, after the fight, dad used to grab me and comfort me and take me down to the local bakery and would sit down and have donuts and cakes. And then in that moment would be where I would feel most loved or cared for or at peace. So I'm like, well, that's the fucking problem, right? Not that your dad loved or cared for you, but every time you have a stressful day now, or you have a fight with your partner now, or you have anxiety now, what your subconscious does is goes, hey, I'm really stressed out. Let's go get a donut, because when I eat that donut, I feel relief, right? Because that donut is attached emotionally to helping you get through that stressful situation, because that pastry has been emotionally linked and anchored to love and caring and peace, right? You didn't know that. So it's been emotionally anchored to you and to that situation. So often what happens is these foods, especially if you learned how to deal with emotions as a kid through overeating, these foods get emotionally anchored and almost tethered to your emotions. And then that's how you deal with it when you're an adult, right? So like Basma is the same. When she was dealing with stress, going through a lot of stuff when she was a child, she used to eat potato chips. So now when she's an adult, she gets into these situations that she has a lot of stress, and she craves potato chips, and she craves like the crunch and the salt, right? So this is the same kind of stuff. And especially now, if you're an adult and you find that in stressful situations that you crave specific stuff like soda or salt or crunch, this is what you're linked to when it comes to your emotional childhood trauma, which is pretty interesting. What should take you over that one?
Yeah, no, it's just as I was talking about that, you come into this journey with a lot of the time a superficial goal of physical change, and it ends up being resolving and healing childhood trauma. And you're like, well, how the hell did this happen? But it's a miraculous journey that we go on. And like we spoke about, I just made a post about it this morning that, you might come in here with a specific goal, and you come in and say, I want to lose 50 pounds, I want to get 6-pack abs, I want to run a marathon, whatever, and you have an end goal that's reachable. And as you go through this journey, what you realize and what you learn is that, and if you can, you take away the goal. Yes, you have goals, but you detach from these goals, and you realize that the goal is not important at all. And if you never reach them, or if you reach 1 million of them, that isn't the reward. The reward of this lifestyle is truly who you become along the way. The discipline, the healing of the traumas, the change of personality, all of these things that we create, the discipline we create, and the real reward is who we become along the journey, not the goals that we achieve. The change in personality. And when you can really grasp that, and you can detach from these goals, and you just fully focus on the process rather than the results, then counterintuitively, that is where you will get all the results, and that is where you will achieve all the goals. If you can just fully give yourself daily to the process and detach from the goals, that's when you truly get the gift of becoming the person who will receive all these rewards.
Yeah, and this is the funny thing, right? Like the person that starts out to lose the 20 pounds or 50 pounds literally becomes a totally different person at the end of it, right? And this is why I love what I do. Like to see people that come in, for example, like Jess, one of my clients who came in the door and had the first conversation with me on Zoom, right? I could see it in her eyes that she wanted to be this new version of herself, and now she's lost 88 pounds, and has totally turned her life around, like become this new badass version of herself, where she's like wanting to get a full sleeve tattoo and like fitting into jeans that she hasn't worn since high school, and like studying nutrition, and like just like totally change her life around, which is freaking awesome. And this is what happens. This is 100% what happens, which I love it. All right, so we got 7 minutes left.
You started this conversation with a question, and it was progressive overload, and I derailed it about that. So we'll go back and answer that question. So one of the best analogies I heard about progressive overload is, if you want to get a suntan and you want to bronze your skin, go out into the back garden for 5 minutes a day, and it will only go to a certain shade. No matter how many days in a row you go, if you go for 5 minutes, your skin will only go to a certain shade of bronze, and it will stay there because your skin will become resistant to resist 5 minutes a day. And if you want it to go a darker shade, you have to go 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. And the longer you expose it, the more resistant your skin will become. And it's exactly the same with weights. So if I go in the gym and I want a bicep that can curl a 15-pound dumbbell 20 times, it has to be a certain size. And if I go every day and do a 15-pound dumbbell 20 times, it will stay that same size because it grows to the size it can resist that amount of tension. And the only way I can make it grow is by increasing the load, by increasing the exposure. So I need a bicep that can lift a 20-pound dumbbell 15 times, and that's how I grow. And now I need a bicep that can lift a 40-pound dumbbell 20 times. And obviously, as I increase the tension, the weight, and the exposure, my body adapts and creates a bigger bicep and a muscle the size that can handle that load. And that is what progressive overload is. That we start off with a weight that our muscle can handle, and we constantly challenge it, and we constantly increase the weight over time, lifting more than the weight can handle, slowly and safely, and going to failure regularly. And what that does is forces the muscle to grow, to adapt to the new load, to create a bigger muscle that can handle the amount of weight that we're forcing it to do. And over time, this is what will cause the muscle to grow, to adapt to the bigger weights that we're forcing it to use.
Yeah, perfect. Well said. All right. So as we sort of get towards the end of the call, there's a couple bits of homework that I'd like everyone to do. So number one is, we spoke a lot about nutrition today. One thing I'd like you all to do, if you're struggling with, if you've set some goals off for this year and you still haven't made any progress, I'm going to guarantee that it's got to do with your nutrition. So if you started some fad diets at the beginning of the year, you didn't see any results, or if you kind of hit the ground running with like training your face off and you didn't see any results, it is your nutrition that is holding you back. So download some free nutrition training or tracking apps rather. So stuff like MyFitnessPal is a great place to start if you haven't done any kind of tracking of food, right? In there, you're going to be able to track your calories. It will walk you through setting yourself up with your body weight, your height, all that kind of stuff. And then you can see how many calories you're meant to be consuming for the day. And then if you want to go one step further, you can figure out your macronutrients. Like Martin said earlier, your macronutrients are your proteins, your carbohydrates, and your fats. If you are in my Facebook group, you can shoot me a message or leave me a comment, and I'll help you figure that out as well. And then you can really dial it in. What I would highly suggest is for the rest. Yeah, go on.
What's the Facebook group so they can find it?
So the Facebook group is how to look good naked without giving up the foods you love. All right. So thank you for that. The next step would be for the rest of March is you just track your food. So everything you eat, including the oil that you cook in, the oil that you spray, you track everything that you consume, including the stuff that you drink, right? Often what we do is we drink more calories than we think we do. Yeah. So like your soft drinks, that kind of stuff, you have to track it. You track all of your food, and what you'll find is you often you underestimate how many calories that you're eating through the day. And you quickly see that you're consuming a lot more calories than you think you are.
And so the other task is to start reading the labels. This is the start. If you're not doing it already, this is the start of an education on food. It's downloading the tracking app and now turning over the thing that you buy in and start reading the labels and looking at what it truly contains. And you are going to be shocked with some of the stuff that you're eating. Sorry, Adam.
No, go on. So in the US especially, you have the ability to read those labels and understand them very well. So you know how many calories you're getting per serving, you know how many grams of protein are in each serving you're getting, and then your fats and your carbohydrates are really important. It's also important to understand that yes, protein is important to track, but your two energy sources and the main reason that you have excess body fat are the fats that are in each food item and your carbohydrates, right? So those are your two energy sources. If you have too many of those in your day, that's what's going to lead to your excess body fat, all right? So that's your homework from me today to hopefully help you on your weight loss journey. Again, if you're really struggling to lose that weight, you can find me on Instagram at _fat-loss-coach, or you can find my Facebook group. And in there, there's a ton of free information. I'm in there all the time, so I'm more than happy to help you out. Just shoot me a DM. Just say Fat Loss Coach, and I'll shoot you a message and see if I can help you out. Anything else you want to leave them with, Martin, before we shoot off for the day?
No, I obviously own a real estate company and sell houses, and that's not what they're here for. So I'm just here to give free advice, spread the love and joy, and hope everybody gets fit with you, Adam.
Awesome stuff. So next week, we're going to dive into, again, we're going to be always touching on nutrition and training. If there's anything else specific you want to know about, feel free to shoot me a DM either on Instagram or Facebook. But have an awesome week. Make sure you go to the gym. Make sure you lift some heavy stuff safely. And make sure you track your nutrition. And we'll talk to you next week. Peace out.
May the force be with you.